the firefighters are looking at it. They're like, I don't know, man. Like, do you want to run the chainsaw? I was like, hell yeah, I want to run the chainsaw.
Welcome to Unhinged and On Call, where the pets are unpredictable, the clients are intense, and the stories are wilder than a Jack Russell on espresso. I'm Chelsea, your resident veterinarian with a front row seat to the chaos.
And I'm Trish, a registered vet tech and expert in surviving the madness with a syringe in one hand and snacks in the other. We're here to share the wonderful, weird, and downright unhinged realities of life in vet med. So grab your stethoscope and maybe a drink, because let's face it, this field will break your heart, heal your soul, and then try to bite you all before lunch.
Buckle up for some chaos and a whole lot of support for the folks riding this emotional roller coaster right along with us, because these vet truck confessions are about to get wild. Thank you, Dr. Pryor, for joining our show today. We're super excited to talk to you. I have the pleasure of talking to you on a daily basis, but why don't you introduce yourself a bit in just kind of your role in veterinary medicine?
You bet. So my name is Tom Pryor. I'm a 2016 graduate of Colorado State through a circuitous route to vet school. I was a little later in life, but I knew when I was in 6th grade that I wanted to be a vet. So naturally, I got a history degree and then farted around and got a master's in agriculture before finally going to vet school. So that was, it was good, maturity level wise, and just being a little bit more focused, that helped a lot. Right out of school, I went into practice in Boulder County. I've been only an ambulatory equine vet since 2016. I left that practice in 2023 and did a year of relief work and kind of offered my services up nationally. So it took me from everywhere from Arizona, Florida, Pennsylvania, Steamboat, got all over the place, which I really enjoyed. And then very fortunate to find myself at Heritage Equine once I was done being the gypsy vagabond and got off the road.
We got him.
Yeah.
We were waiting.
Nagged him.
We were waiting for a while, Tom. Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'm not letting you down.
Not at all. Not at all. No, Tom works with us and everything's great. And what I'm actually really impressed with is when you're doing relief, was your ability to just like fly places, literally walk into a practice, take over an entire doctor's schedule. And in most cases, you were like catching everybody up, like multiple doctors with, technicians and equipment and meds and all the trucks that you were not familiar with. And you just like hit the ground running,
That's crazy. Yeah.
I think in small animal relief is becoming a lot more, that's just routine, right? A lot of people are fully relief veterinarians, but that's much more difficult in equine. And you were able to do it. So it's kind of cool for listeners too, to hear different avenues. And for equine vets that feel like they're burned out, that there are relief options in equine. And everyone fears having this like client relationship where you have to have a certain doctor. Like, no, your clients can handle, having other people step in. And what's more important is we protect ourselves and stay happy, and fulfilled in the job.
100%. And that's really what I was looking for in that time of my career was I love helping horses and being around them and everything, but I was really looking to like give back to our industry and our community, just because I think it is so prevalent, and it's especially on the equine side not as readily available. So that was a really fun part. And like one of my gigs was the whole practice left. There were no techs, there was no office manager, nothing. And the whole practice went on a retreat, and they were able to do a 3-day, raft trip together. And in the history of that clinic, they'd never been able to all get into one place. Like even for a holiday party, people are getting, paged.
You get paid. Yeah.
So, that like, to me, I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like I'll do that every year. If that's something you guys want to do, I think that's so important to, connect with each other outside of work and just, enjoy each other as people, and kind of celebrate, hey, the mission is ongoing, but we get to enjoy ourselves outside of this. So that was awesome.
I love that.
That's so nice, and a testament to your character as a human being, by the way. Like that's so nice that you even think about it in that way for other people is really nice.
Yeah.
Well, we get plenty of opportunities and chances and that sort of thing. But we're trying to schedule just a simple golf game, and it's like with our schedules, it's like insane. And it's like, so for a group of people to be able to do that, I think it's becoming more and more difficult as the pace of life is ramping up anymore. So I think reminding ourselves to slow down every now and again and really enjoy it. It's important. And it's going to add longevity to everybody.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what, if we can't keep people in vet med, like we'd really have to look at it and say why, and then fix it, you know, like corporations all the time go on retreats. But why in vet med do we think it's impossible to do it? You know, it's not. You just have to make it a priority, really.
And for equine vets, right? Like if you're independent, mobile, that's so isolating, right? And if you don't have any help, like you were saying earlier, or feel like you can't take the vacation, what an isolating feeling. And so that's another reason too, with the podcast, that we have been hopeful that it kind of helps people with that isolated feeling that you are not alone, right? Like somewhere out there is another vet going through the exact same thing, you know, and we're all in it together and we're all supporting each other, but you are actually going out there and doing that for people. And that's really cool. Yeah.
Well, and that being said, I mean, there were, and gosh, the number of times I would show up and I wouldn't even meet the person I'm relieving for or who hired me. But it was a little shocking. Like we would have a phone call or an email exchange and they're just like, come get on the truck. I'd be like, all right. That the first trip was always like, they were checking in a lot, you know, kind of, they keep a finger on the pulse of things and how things are going. And the techs are spying on you a little bit, which is fine. Like, I mean, if I were to leave a business like that and leave it to a stranger, I'd be pretty paranoid. But you know, it's like, get through that first little bit. Everything's cool. We're working along. I always check in after I leave, you know, hey, was this up to par for you? Is there anything I can do better? Like, what would you rather see? And then subsequent trips. I mean, I worked for many clinics multiple times. Subsequent trips, it'd be like, hey, call me if you need me. Otherwise, I'm in the wind. I'm in the wind. You got to come by.
Yeah.
So, which was cool. So I really appreciated that trust.
That's cool.
Cool. Yeah. I love that.
I might need to edit this so that Dr. Pryor's phone doesn't blow up with relief jobs because he's got to stick
Not
around.
active relief at the moment, right?
Chelsea's like, it's a really good sales pitch. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it is.
that's awesome.
We're here for something different.
Yes. Well, speaking of, okay, so Dr. Pryor, and I've only found this out through clients actually that have told me stories, is that he tends to be what we call a magnet in vet med. So if he's on an on-call shift, he's going to get like 4x what I might get on the same on-call shift. And there's some juju in the world. But that happened in vet school too. Like when I was on overnights, you're doing all the emergencies. I maybe got to see 1 or 2 cases a night at CSU. And then other classmates would literally be packed, hair on fire, running all over the place. And it was just a thing. You were like a magnet or you weren't. So it turns out the Dr. Pryor is.
You're a magnet.
But we want to hear your story.
I think we need to check Chelsea's settings on her phone. Maybe it's going off more than she thinks. But no, I don't know. And to be honest, I guess I never thought of it that way until, you know, encountering other folks. And it sounds like, you know, they kind of have standard stuff. But I really appreciate the having the magnet, if that's what it is, because it's those cases where you gotta work a problem from different angles, and like you have to focus on things outside of medicine and be innovative and creative and really draw from a ton of resources. And that to me, that's like the most electrifying part about this job, is just like, oh man, I have to come up with something that's not on the truck, that's not in a book, and it's got to work at least for a little bit. And then when I can finally get something that resembles, you know, modern medicine, then I can apply it. So I really love that part, because to me, it's really invigorating and a lot of fun.
MacGyver. I feel like with our trucks, we can pretty much sort out like anything in this world. Is at, you know, with all our different equipment and instruments, it's crazy because I'm like, I could handle anything. Like a zombie apocalypse. I'm there.
Yeah. Or like wandering around somebody's property and just being like, well, I'm going to take that and I'm going to steal this from you. And
Yeah.
like all of a sudden I'm taping all sorts of weird stuff onto horses. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the fun part.
Yeah. Yeah. It is fun.
We were talking earlier with a friend of ours, and that we were kind of talking about those stories where you like first, when you like, if you first met somebody and you were trying to describe like just the craziest story in vet med that you have experienced, right? Like, oh my God, this is the story for my head. What's that for you? Do you have one of those that's like, I got to tell you this story. This happened to me and I can't believe it.
I was thinking about it last night after Chelsea had asked me on, and you know, it's in those moments where it's just like, well, what have I done? You know, I don't know. I mean, I think back on some of the catastrophes. You know, some down horses. I had one, probably like the gnarliest wound that I've ever run up into. It was just above where I live, kind of in the foothills here above near Carter Lake, and this horse had run full tilt into one of the guide wires that runs down from a power pole. So one of those anchoring lines and full steel cable, and hit it so hard that she clapped the lines of the power pole together and knocked out the power in the whole like little valley back there.
Oh,
And so
man.
they called me and they're like, we can't see anything, but this horse is cut to hell, like,
Oh,
you know, flayed open. And I'm like, okay, well, where am I going? And they're like, well, if you drive back here, our barn is the only thing with lights on in the entire valley. And I was like, okay. So I roll
I'll
up there.
find you.
I don't need an address.
Yeah.
Yeah, like thank goodness you do have light. It was like tiny little, like, you know, 60-watt bulb or whatever. So I go, and this thing had filleted the entire left pec off, like flapped it to the side, and it was probably, I mean, what, like 40 pounds of muscle just hanging off.
Big muscle.
And I mean, the horse is like chomping hay, like
It.
nothing happened, you know. And I'm like, I'd be whimpering under the truck, you know, and just like crying for mom. But this thing is just like, you know, another Saturday night, right? And I'm looking at this thing, and I must have had like the dumbest look on my face, because after a while, the owner just like elbowed me, and she's like, well, what are you gonna do? I don't know.
I called you here.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna pull every pack of suture off the truck that I have.
Seriously.
And I'm gonna start going as deep as possible with the biggest, you know, absorbable suture that I have.
Yeah.
And then just start working my way out. And so like little by little, I took all the towel clamps off my truck, and we are like pulling just massive amounts of muscle and skin and tissue back together, and they're having to hold it up so I can clamp it with a towel clamp to like get things a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. And I just start throwing sutures in. And I was under that horse for probably 4 hours. And just like every little bit of connective tissue that I could see, I'm slapping it together. I'm like trying to plan as I go through these planes of muscle, like, okay, I want this to drain. I want this to drain. Like you're like trying to see it at the end, even though it's like miles away from you. And like I said, 4 hours later, I like kind of unfold myself from this horse.
I don't think I can walk.
Seriously, I was gonna say, like, how do you even, like, your body's probably all like, you know, crunched up, right? Because you're under, Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not a small guy, you know, so I always carry like knee pads and like a stool in my truck. And it's like, I'm going to be under here for a while, and totally unsafe to do. Right. But in the moment, you're just like, well,
we do. Yeah. We have to do those things.
Yeah. And dang it, if that horse, like, she came out of that thing, she's got barely visible scar. Like, and this is not a testament to my surgical ability, like, at all. I think like nature has covered my tracks so well. I'm so thankful for it. But
it stayed together.
It stayed together. It didn't fall apart. I think at one point a distal portion of it dehisced just due to the trauma of everything. But it just like allowed for more drainage. But we had to put her in like one of those neck corset things so she couldn't reach down and traumatize it further. It took about 4 months for it to like all come back and really granulate it and do its thing. But I remember going back like 6 months later to vaccinate everybody. And they're like, oh, here's, you know, Cookie, who you sutured. I was
You're
like,
your best friend. That's
no,
wild.
no,
wow.
recognize that horse at all. Like, that's insane.
Wow.
Huh.
So,
It is amazing what the body can do if
Yeah.
you allow it to heal and give
Yeah.
it time, and then obviously put it back together. So
You should ask
That's amazing.
Dr. Brett, because we were on a similar call. It was not as intense as yours, probably not as large, but same like pectoral laceration
Wow.
on a fence. Do you remember that? I don't
Mhm.
know.
I don't.
I just remember him. It was almost when you were telling us about how you kind of stood there for a second. It was similar.
Mhm.
He was kind of like, because you're deciding, like, what do
You are
I?
thinking
Well,
through
how am I
stuff.
going to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was the same thing where you're just kind of like, well, I'm going to sew it up.
Yep.
And then
Right, yeah.
we're gonna make sure that it goes okay along the way, and hopefully it closes up nicely.
Yeah.
You know, and you
I-
did
I-
great. It was the same
I got to
thing.
start
Like, we're
somewhere. I
doing
just
really
got to
well.
decide where to start, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start somewhere.
yeah, crazy.
Wow. Well, way to
Wow.
go.
Yeah, good job. That's
Amazing.
impressive. Yeah.
That was a fun one.
Okay.
That was a
This episode is brought to you by our friends at VetCS, your go-to for veterinarian-developed CBD and wellness products for your pets and horses. Founded by veterinary professionals, VetCS offers science-backed formulas made with premium hemp extracts to support calm behavior, joint health, and overall wellness, whether you're in the clinic or out at the barn. VetCS is all about helping animals live better naturally. Want to see what they're all about? Head over to vetcs.com to explore their full line of CBD products.
And then can I request a specific story?
Sure.
From the request line.
Because part of our show is kind of like the things you literally cannot make up
Mhm.
that happen. So and it's just like a normal Tuesday. But a client actually told me about this one is you had a horse get stuck on some railroad tracks that
Mhm.
were, it sounded like on a bridge, but I don't know the rest of the story. So I would love to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's amazing because like the real traumatic ones is like you bring this up and it's like I'm right there that day.
You
Like,
go right
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
You remember
I tell you
everything.
what I was wearing.
Yeah.
I know what was in my truck, all the things. But I was just cruising around and I get a text from the client and it just said 911, and I was like, I'm not 911, but you know. Sure.
Yeah.
And so like,
Horse in front of that. Horse 911.
Hang up
Yeah.
and call 911.
Right.
Yeah,
Do
I was
you
like-
need emergency services?
you know, I was like, if this is an emergency, like it warrants a phone call, and you obviously have my number, so like I was just like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon, a very panicked phone call comes in, and
Oh.
she had been riding her horse along a train track, and it was coming up over a pretty large irrigation ditch, maybe, or a canal. It was probably 20 feet wide. She had gotten off her horse to just kind of see if it was a solid bridge, what was, you know, what could be passable. Did she have to go around? So she dismounts, is just scouting the bridge, and this horse, lovely old guy, just follows her, you know, just not being led, like the reins were around the horn. He just walks with her, and there's no bottom on this little trestle bridge, and so he falls in left lateral recumbency, sticks the down leg through all the way through two of the ties, and then he wedges his right foot, his right hind, in between the rail and a tie, and so he is as stuck can be.
Stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And so owner obviously is like super freaked out, doesn't want her horse to like try to struggle, get up, break a leg, all the bad things. She mugs him. And in the process of like trying to control a 1,000-pound horse, this little lady separates her shoulder.
Oh.
Oh,
She's, like,
shoot.
very decommissioned all right away, but is able to keep her horse down. And so I'm gathering all this information, and I'm like, I don't need many specifics, really. I just need to know where you are. And
Right.
so she's like, you know, directs me to the spot, and she's like, I'm nowhere near a road. And I was like, I don't care. I have a big truck.
Yeah.
And so I'm ripping through traffic, like just breaking all sorts of laws that I
Yeah.
shouldn't.
Don't you wish I had a little
Timing.
red? Yeah.
Right.
You need them.
Leaning out the window, woo woo. And I'm driving a very conspicuous big brown Dodge 2500, like just written vet box, you know, and like, so I get to where the road and the train track intersect, and there's animal control right there, and just like waving me, and they're just
Okay.
like, go that way. And so I'm like, oh hell yeah, off-road, like just, Tokyo drift this thing, and it's really wet. So I am just like ripping mud up.
Oh,
Oh my
hell
God.
This
yeah.
is the highlight of my
mud in.
day, like 4-wheel on the fly. Like this is amazing. Just Baja in this thing. I passed another sheriff's truck that had gotten stuck and like didn't slow down, just like flew past him.
Keep going.
And
Yeah.
I get up there and like, sure as shit, this horse is stuck. Like he's down. He's trying to roll sternal like thing, and I was just like, this is bad news right here.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna need, I need to sedate immediately. We need a plan. Like I don't know where to even start with this thing, and then if we get him unstuck, like what's next? Like, can we get a trailer back here? Can we, like, all these things are running through your mind immediately. So very quickly, like, hey, he's breathing well enough for me. And I listened to his heartbeat. I was like, he's healthy enough to sedate. Bam, sedation. And then the stuck sheriff eventually runs up, and I was like, I need a fire truck, like now.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. So they call in a fire truck. They're not too far. There's like a station, thank goodness, less than a mile away. And so no sooner is he off the phone than I hear sirens. I'm like, okay, help's on the way. I call Dr. Fitch, who was my mentor and like has seen everything twice, right? And I was like, if anybody knows how to do this, like having him on board to help. So he comes, he was not too far from there. So he pulls up shortly after me, and he looks at it and he goes, well, that's something. I was like, yeah. What do you think we should do? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, awesome.
Oh God.
The stand and stare again. We're at
Your
the
stomach
we have to
just like,
assess this. Yeah.
Stomach.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh.
I was like 40 years in practice, and
Got nothing?
Right. And he's like, I think, he's like, you've already sedated it. We're gonna have to cut it out. We'll figure it out. And I was like, okay, I got fire on the way. We had been given permission by the sheriff's office to do whatever we wanted on the railroad track because it was a deadline. It was paved at both ends of this road. Like the tracks have been paved over. This is a deadline. And so I was like, great. Fire shows up, and I was like, I'm going to need a chainsaw if you have Jaws of Life, and then any kind of Kevlar stuff that you have, because where we have to cut this tie is about 3 or 4 inches from the hind leg.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so we're like looking at all this, and I was like, I'm going to anesthetize it. As soon as it's under, you're going to give me about a minute to make sure it's really good. And then we're cutting this tie here. We're dropping it down, and then we're going to figure this out. And I'm thinking we'll roll him onto a tarp. We'll pull him across the rest of the bridge, get him down off the track onto sort of level ground, and, recover him there.
Oh,
Or like I'm going to assess him, and if he just needs to go, like
You're right.
send him while he's under. So the firefighters are looking at it. They're like, I don't know, man. Like, do you want to run the chainsaw? I was like, hell yeah, I want to run the chainsaw.
Heck yes, I do. Okay, thank you so much for saying
This is
that.
what I'm
'cause
here
that's what
for.
I was hoping to hear.
Yeah, I was like, so I anesthetized the horse. Dr. Fitch is just monitoring anesthesia and running the head a little bit. I come back, I wrap some Kevlar like Sawyer shaps around the legs. So if like I do nick it with the chainsaw, it'll wrap up in Kevlar, stop the chain, won't cut the leg off.
Yeah.
So cut the tie. The down leg is now free. Like we can bend it, we can get it out from underneath. So that's the right hind leg is now the one that's wedged underneath the rail and the tie. And like there's just no way to cut on either side, get it to drop or anything. So I have to go under the bridge, and thank God this horse had hind shoes on, put a pry bar onto his shoe and hammer it out, and just like
My God.
just
Oh my God.
move it a little bit, and like finally wiggle him free.
Huh.
4 or 5 firefighters, myself, we roll him onto a tarp, pull him off the track, and then down onto this level area. And like things have gone great. And so he's free. We're down in this pit, like, I won't say a ditch, but just a flatter area off the elevated track. And Mark and I start just like going through every leg, like palpating everything, moving everything. And it's like, this son of a gun has abrasions, and that's it. Like there's nothing that has crepitus to it. There's no overt swelling. There's no edema. Like I was like, this is insane. Like I was like, do you think it's safe to stand him up? And Mark's like, yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So he starts recovering. I hit him. I like
And
hit
he
him
has
with
the
just a
saddle
little.
off at this point.
I'm sorry.
You guys pulled saddle off,
Oh,
or
tack.
does he have tack
Yeah,
on?
his saddle. Yeah, we had pulled all
Okay.
that off, and like I had a halter on my truck, so took the bridle off, put a halter on, like all
Nice,
the
yeah.
all that stuff. And I hit him with a little bit more sedation when he was coming out, just because I really wanted him to just like go really slow.
Mhm.
And he like kind of comes out of it. He looks around. He's just resting. He rolls sternal. He rests a little bit more, and then he just stands up like nothing happened. Like he just got up from a nap. You know,
It's a
shakes
nap.
off,
Thank
and I
you.
was
That's
just
right.
like,
Yeah.
That's great.
this is insane. Like this
What?
should have been like the biggest catastrophe ever.
Yeah.
And
a broken
he
leg.
A
just,
broken
like-
leg. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I thought you were gonna say at first.
Two-
Was just
like two broken
right?
legs, right? Should have
Yeah,
had
Two. Yeah.
He had abrasions on the back legs, which I just like I cleaned them and dressed them, standing wraps, and then we loaded him into a trailer
Come
and
on.
sent him back to the barn. And that was like he got some Banamine, I'm sure, but
Whoa.
I was shocked. I was just shocked. And like I just saw him. This was 6 years ago. I just saw him 2 weeks ago, and he's happy as a clam.
happy.
So
Yeah.
And the lady's shoulder, she was.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, what happened with
Is
her?
she
Oh, yeah, so
standing
she-
there, just
she
like
would-
holding her shoulder the whole time?
she was, yeah. I mean, I think when the firefighters came, they kind of.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I zoned that part out, but
Well,
they
yeah.
treated her. Somebody took care
You
of
were
her, but
running
when I finally like circled back to her, she was wrapped up. You know, it was like all together. And then she went to the hospital after, like, God bless her, after her horse was already in a stall. And
Of
like,
course.
Oh my
Yeah,
Of
right.
god.
course.
horse
Then
first,
Yes.
shoulder second.
Yes. A true
yeah.
rider.
And then and then of course we ran into our friends at the Union Pacific who were positive we were vandalizing their track and tried to come after us for trespassing and destruction of property and all this stuff.
Oh, I would have asked to keep a piece of it. I'd be like, "Can I chainsaw like a little? I want to make a necklace out of this. Like
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah, I should have stolen a
Yeah,
spike or
memory.
something like that.
Memento.
yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just kind of like punted that to animal control. I was like, oh, I don't think that's something I need to worry about. So.
They
Yeah.
okayed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, weren't they talking like thousands, $10,000 fine or something
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
What?
Come
Yeah.
on.
So yeah,
Thanks for
everybody was
saving a
just-
life. Here's a bill.
Yeah,
for
right.
10
Of
grand.
our deadline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And their excuse was like, oh, if a car got loose on the track, it would roll right into you. And I was like, it'd have to blast through about like 4 roads of pavement to get to me. But
Yeah.
oh well. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
There's always something. There's a fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's a trail ride from hell. I mean, if you're
Seriously.
like just going along having a nice time with your horse and then
Right.
all of a sudden he's wedged in train tracks.
Yeah.
And imagine if it was if it was actually an active line, that would
Oh my God.
be
Yeah. I
more
mean,
crazy.
that would have been a different story, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
But-
man.
The whole thing is crazy.
Oh,
Mhm.
Oh,
well,
wow.
thank you. Jeez, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Thanks for
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. That's so crazy.
Now we know who to call if we
Yeah.
need chainsaw action.
Yeah.
and
Oh man,
yeah.
that's my jam
some
right
like
there.
demo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Can you work the chainsaw? I would
Yeah,
like to
so,
be.
I
the
mean,
one.
I think doing all your CE is great, and then what you really need to do is just like branch out and do a bunch of,
Mhm.
carpentry and stuff like that.
Carpentry, yeah. Basic demo.
Wow, wild. That's
Oh,
wild.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time and for
Yeah.
saving all the horses. That's
Yeah.
very fun.
Pleasure.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah. Very good. Well, have a great day and thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and follow us for all the latest updates. Unhinged and On Call isn't just a podcast. It's a lifeline for every veterinary professional barely holding it together with vet wrap and caffeine. Somewhere out there, another tech, vet, or assistant is deep in the same chaos, dodging poop, managing meltdowns, and wondering if they're the only one unraveling. You're not. Whether you're laughing or crying or rage cleaning your truck, you've got a whole tribe behind you. You're unhinged, but never alone.